The International Court of Justice is due to hold hearings over extra emergency measures sought by South Africa against Israel's attacks on Rafah during its war in Gaza. Now, Pretoria is demanding an immediate halt to Israeli violence. More than 1.5 million Palestinians who've been sheltering in the southern city are now fleeing. South Africa wants the court to order Israel to allow unhindered access to this strip for UN officials, humanitarian agencies, journalists and investigators. The UN's top court ordered Israel in January to do everything in its power to prevent genocidal acts and allow aid into Gaza. William Schabas is a professor of international law at Middlesex University. His work is focused on human rights and international criminal law, and he joins us now live from London. Mr. Schabas, always nice to have you on the programme. Thanks for your time. Can we just begin with another hearing at the ICJ being brought about by South Africa for additional measures? Have the ground realities changed in Gaza enough, in your opinion, for this presentation to be made by South Africa? They tried in January and nothing much happened.
Well, yes, they've gone back. This will be the fourth request by South Africa for provisional measures. And as you mentioned, at the end of January, they were successful in getting an order. They again obtained an additional order late in March, and they are arguing now, they'll be presenting before the court this afternoon in The Hague, that the circumstances have developed and evolved now where they are essentially claiming that this is the end of Gaza. And with the destruction of Rafah, the threatened destruction of Rafah, that this is sort of the final stage. And so they're asking for a renewed order, and in particular, they're focusing on a requirement of a ceasefire, that the military activities stop altogether. And this will be for the court to decide. The court has clearly indicated the urgency of the matter. The application was filed on Friday of last week, and they've set a hearing for today, 5 days later. And this is really extremely unusual. They haven't responded with the same kind of urgency before. So it shows that the court is taking this as a very serious matter.
I just want to reiterate, do you actually think that the presentation of this is the end for Rafah is going to sway the court?
Well, it's a difficult thing to predict how a court is going to respond. The court has been fairly consistent in its in the way it's addressed this crisis since January, and I think it's fairly united on it. Of course, the court has a lot of freedom in terms of what they order as well. I don't see them retreating from anything they've said earlier, but they could either reinforce it. They could make a much stronger order. This is really these are the details. These are the nuances. It's a court that although it tries to get unanimity in its orders, there have been a lot of separate opinions in the more recent orders, not just in this case, but also in the companion case that was filed by Nicaragua against Germany. And so, the courts, these are 15 individuals with their own views and their own approaches. So it's very difficult to predict exactly what's going to emerge.
So, Mr. Schabas, just for our international audience as well, just to clarify, South Africa has made these approaches to the ICJ. Orders have been made to some extent. Have they been implemented by Israel from October the 7th to today?
No, they have not. And of course, this is one of the things that South Africa is seeking, is some recognition by the court that Israel has failed to implement them. It doesn't mean that these have been to no purpose or to have no effect, because they have clearly influenced the political situation and the political debate. The determinations by the court in these provisional measures orders have had a huge political impact, not only on states that have been traditionally very critical of Israel, but also on many of the states that are most friendly to it, who are persuaded, I think, or increasingly persuaded of the harm that Israel is doing and of the need to stop it by the rulings of the court to date. So they've been significant, in my opinion.
We will certainly see what the court does have to say and how the presentations are laid out around about 1300 GMT here on Al Jazeera. William Schabas joining us from London. Thank you, sir.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.